In a dead world where the rules no longer apply, people face their deepest fears, their weaknesses, and unexpected hope.
Just get it over with!
Joe is a lonely man surviving in a bunker beneath his home since the start of the zombie apocalypse. The only things that bring him joy are watching old football matches he once played in and his dog, Gally, his best and only friend. Caring for Gally, Joe regularly ventures outside so his dog can relieve himself and enjoy some fresh air. These outings are dangerous, so he always wears a bulletproof vest and carries a folding knife. One evening, the old dog begs for a walk, and Joe decides to leave the safety of the bunker despite the risks. As soon as he steps outside, a dozen bloodthirsty zombies surround him. Joe uses his makeshift defenses of sharp objects, but several zombies break through and bite Gally. Though he kills all the undead, he loses his only friend and is devastated. After burying Gally, Joe loses the last thing that brought him happiness. He feels utterly alone, and watching football or doing crossword puzzles no longer interests him. Realizing he's losing his mind in the bunker's isolation, Joe remembers an old friend, Sandra, who he communicated with before the apocalypse. Joe and Sandra were the only ones who believed something like this could happen and had prepared in advance. She, too, built a shelter near her home, and they fell in love over online messages, but they've never met in person. Determined to change that, Joe gathers supplies, a map, weapons, and his electric motorcycle to embark on a perilous journey over 1,000 kilometers long. Less than a day into his journey, Joe rides into a spiked trap left on the road. His tires are punctured, and the motorcycle is ruined. As he explores the area, he falls into another trap. A zombie approaches him, tangled in a net, but a stranger kills it and offers to free him. Not trusting her, Joe is asked to put on handcuffs so he won't pose a threat. The woman, Evie, also wants to leave her shelter and had set traps to take Joe's motorcycle. She plans to abandon him and continue her search for her husband, but the bike has a special lock that only Joe can operate. Accepting this, Evie proposes a joint journey, with Joe acting as her driver. She doesn't trust him and keeps a gun trained on him, forcing him to stay handcuffed, even when he needs a bathroom break. Joe, ignoring her attempts to communicate, listens to music through his headphones, remaining in the handcuffs for Evie's peace of mind. In the evening, they make camp in the forest, and Evie reads Joe's personal journal. She realizes he's a good person and no longer a threat. Communication between Joe and Evie begins to improve, especially after one night when they're surrounded by a group of zombies. Working together as a well-coordinated team, they help each other fight off the undead. Afterward, Evie removes Joe's handcuffs, and trust starts to grow between them. Joe even lets Evie take the wheel of the motorcycle as they continue toward their goal. That evening, they camp in an abandoned hangar and share stories about themselves. Evie admits she wants to find her ex-husband, Steven, hoping he still loves her. Unexpectedly, it turns out that Evie is traveling to a nearby town and could help locate Sandra's house. After reading Joe and Sandra's journal and correspondence, Evie provides the exact coordinates of the house they've been searching for. Their moment of joy is cut short when the motorcycle is stolen. Joe had briefly left it unattended after starting the engine. The thief leaves behind a small sheep in exchange. Even in this situation, Evie remains optimistic and grows attached to the animal, which irritates Joe. He blames her for what happened, and the tension escalates into an argument, causing them to part ways. Evie finds her ex-husband's house and discovers a painting of herself, realizing he truly loved her. Though he had vented his anger in other artworks, he depicted her as a beautiful woman. She would have been happy to find him, but he has vanished without a trace and is unlikely to be alive. Meanwhile, Joe locates Sandra's house and notices a security camera. Using the password, he asks her to let him in and manages to hide just before zombies surround him. Meeting Sandra is a surprising reunion for both, as she had spent 400 days alone in a bunker, surviving the zombie apocalypse. Sandra offers Joe a pastry, but it contains a special ingredient that disconnects him from reality. This isn't a game or a joke, it's a way to weaken him. Sandra has changed. Isolated for so long, she has gone mad and become a serial killer, hunting men. She binds Joe and takes his watch as a trophy, part of her collection of victim keepsakes. She stabs him in the chest, but he is saved by an amulet Evie had given him. Joe tries to escape but fails, though survival becomes possible once again because Evie has located Sandra's house and is now right above the bunker. Sandra, with Joe bound and gagged, meets Evie and invites her into the bunker. She pretends to be normal and offers Evie the same special pastry laced with drugs, but Evie feels no effect, having become accustomed to such substances. Sandra attacks Evie with a knife, but Evie defends herself and fights back. She finds and frees Joe, who is forced to kill Sandra in self-defense. Moments later, Sandra turns into a zombie and attacks again, but Joe and Evie lock her in the bunker. Realizing they've become friends and that even in this horrific world something beautiful can exist, Joe and Evie set out together on a new adventure. Blair is an overly demanding owner of an insurance company, constantly criticizing her employees for even the smallest mistakes. She's particularly frustrated with her administrator, Gina, who often ignores her orders and approaches her work with a lack of responsibility. Meanwhile, chaos erupts in the city, but Blair insists everyone keep working, seeing it as the perfect opportunity to sell high-profit insurance and make even more money. While Gina and the rest of the staff diligently follow orders, Blair decides to leave the city with her fiancé. They head for an island, thinking they can wait out the chaos in Atlanta. On their way out, they stop at a gas station, only to find no fuel available and a wait necessary. At the same time, Gina shows up, ignoring Blair's demands and instructions. Enraged, Blair confronts her but ends up simply firing her during the argument. Gina doesn't worry about it, at least, not until she notices a zombie in an elderly woman's car. Realizing her brother's warnings were justified and that a zombie apocalypse has begun in the city, Gina decides to hijack a fuel truck. Armed with a shotgun, she demands the keys and ignores the FBI agent's orders. Suddenly, they hear a woman scream and see a zombie sink its teeth into her neck. A fight for survival breaks out. The agent manages to take Gina's shotgun, but the truck driver attacks him. A stray shot hits the fuel tank, causing a massive explosion that kills everyone. Moments later, Gina and Blair find themselves back in the insurance office, remembering everything that happened. They feel a mild sense of déjà vu but try not to dwell on it. Treating the events as a bad dream or hallucination, Blair once again attempts to flee the city and ends up at the gas station, where she encounters Gina with the shotgun again. Trying to get ahead of her, Blair warns the agent about the attempted fuel truck theft and notices a mark on his arm, realizing he's about to turn into a zombie. As the first zombie attacks, Gina hijacks the truck, but Blair stands in her way. Trying not to run over her boss, Gina swerves and crashes. Back at the starting point, Gina and Blair realize they're trapped in a time loop. Blair wants to talk and plan their next move, but Gina refuses to cooperate. She promises the events won't repeat and that she won't return to the gas station. But a few hours later, she attacks the fuel truck driver again with her shotgun, demanding the keys. When the agent tries to take the weapon, Gina accidentally shoots and kills the driver. The truck starts moving with the agent's son inside, and both Gina and Blair rush to stop it. In the process, they collide with the reanimated driver, triggering yet another explosion. Back at the starting point, Blair and Gina no longer try to act normal. They openly discuss the zombie apocalypse, leaving their colleagues baffled, as they search for a way out of the situation. Hatred and misunderstandings escalate, leading to frequent arguments. Blair reports Gina to the police as a terrorist, and Gina is arrested at the gas station. But the fuel truck driver ends up in a crash, and the tanker explodes again. Gina and Blair repeat this day dozens of times, experimenting with every possible combination of actions. They flee, kill each other, and even eliminate bystanders, yet no matter what they do, they always end up back at the start of the time loop. Realizing they need a new approach, Gina pleads to be let go and not pursued. She insists on hijacking the truck to return to the city and save her nieces and nephews playing in the park. Blair listens, staying behind in the insurance office. She allows her employees to go home to their families and ends her relationship with her fiancé, realizing he never loved her and made no attempt to save her when she died. Blair accepts her fate and allows herself to be turned by the zombies, only for the day to start over once again. Even Gina fails to succeed, ending up in yet another explosive crash. After talking through everything, Gina and Blair finally begin to truly understand each other. For the first time, they reach a compromise and even start to form a friendship. Instead of arguing, they team up, distracting the FBI agent so they can hijack the fuel truck together. In a zombie apocalypse, fuel is more valuable than gold, and they're determined to claim it. Blair and Gina successfully steal the truck and break through a checkpoint, but then they notice a group of people in danger, being chased by hundreds of zombies. Taking a daring risk, they pour fuel from a bridge onto cars on the road below and set them on fire, splitting the survivors from the zombies. They manage to save the group and conquer their own fears, but the truck explodes once again. This time, however, both Gina and Blair survive the blast. Gina speculates that it might all be a shared hallucination, but Blair is convinced it's a brutal reality, a reality in which they face themselves, overcome their differences, and even formed a genuine bond through a shared mission. Somewhere in the lakes of North America, a steamboat drifts with survivors of the zombie apocalypse. About 30 people live on board, not just surviving, but actually enjoying life. They have food and water, a place to sleep, alcohol, electricity, and music. Zombies can't reach them in the water, so everyone relaxes and parties as if nothing has happened. The only one unhappy with this carefree life is Dee. A single mother, she's used not only to danger but also to solving every problem on her own. She's constantly on high alert and ready to kill anyone who threatens her or her daughter, Lydia. Meanwhile, Lydia barely interacts with her mother, seeing Dee as harsh and aggressive. The girl admires Brooke, the confident and stylish woman who runs the steamboat and keeps its community in check. That evening, Dee tries on a dress and even shows up at the party, but she can't share in the others' joy. She envies Brooke for her ease with Lydia and faces criticism from the bartender, Billy, who finds Dee dull and unworthy of being there. He retreats to the kitchen just to avoid seeing her. Brooke tries to cheer Dee up, but even then Dee stays on edge, instantly killing a zombie trapped in a net when others nearly drop it on the deck. In the night fog, she spots figures on the shore and wonders if they're zombies or bandits aiming to take the boat and its resources. During the night, Dee hears strange noises on board, and in the morning she discovers that an old man has gone missing without a trace. She immediately suspects Billy, but no one else shares her suspicions since there's no proof. While setting the tables for breakfast, Lydia tells her mother she doesn't want to be around her and wants Dee out of her life for good. Dee is deeply hurt and steps away to be alone and hide her tears. Nearby, she spots Billy and suspects him of another crime. She saw him throw a mirror into the water and thinks he signaled the bandits on shore. Not wanting to hear her accusations, Billy jumps into the water, full of crocodiles and zombies, and leaves the boat. Witnessing this, Lydia runs off and hides from her mother. She no longer wants to see Dee, but the situation shifts when screams erupt on deck. Dee turns out to be right. Billy is indeed part of an armed gang. 7 gang members have boarded the boat, aiming to join the survivors and submit to Brooke. They kill the old man and are ready to execute 6 more. Billy and his crew kill 2 people and then suggest killing Lydia and Dee, considering them the weakest and most useless. Some survivors even support the idea, leaving Dee disappointed in the people around her. Realizing she has no friends here, Dee executes a few gang members and escapes in a lifeboat where her daughter has been hiding. Once on the shore, Dee and Lydia find themselves trapped by a dozen monsters. The only way to survive is to hide under a zombie corpse. Dee does just that, smearing her daughter's face with the zombie's blood. A little later, they spot Brooke, still alive, and Dee considers executing her. Lydia begs her not to, reminding her that Brooke had been kind to her, even if a bit careless. Dee promises Lydia she won't kill Brooke, but leaves a deep scar on her face, vowing to haunt her for life. Soon after, Dee and Lydia come across an old trailer with some leftover food. While Dee inspects it, Lydia notices 3 zombies closing in on her. Dee urges her daughter to be ready to defend herself and grab a knife, but Lydia isn't prepared for that. Dee kills the 3 zombies, but Lydia flees into the forest to hide. Lost in strange voices and seemingly on the brink of madness, Lydia drives Dee to make a grim choice, to end both their suffering. At that moment, they are discovered by a group called the Whisperers, led by a woman named Hera. Realizing she can survive by hiding among the zombies, Dee kills Hera, turning her face into a grotesque zombie mask. Dr. Chauncey Everett is a reclusive scientist and naturalist who studies the natural world. Living in the wilderness, he doesn't just observe his surroundings, he studies the walking dead. Calling them Homo mortis, Everett sees them as the next stage of nature's evolution, with humanity itself being a threat. He resides near a protected area, which allows him to observe and classify zombies into groups. He notes hunters, defenders, and other types, but his primary focus is on object number 21. To track it, Everett uses a camera-equipped drone and a collar that transmits the object's location. The only ones disrupting this natural balance are unknown hunters, who decapitate zombies to sell their heads for their own purposes. Everett's quiet routine is interrupted by Amy, a lost woman searching for a group of survivors. She had been moving through the Wigrass area, known as the Dead Sector, but fell behind after a zombie attack. Now, dozens of zombies are chasing her, yet Everett doesn't rush to help. He observes her from afar with his drone. When object number 21 attacks Amy, Everett finally intervenes and saves her. On the way back to his cabin, Everett studies an immobilized zombie cordoned off with yellow tape before returning home. Amy follows him, but the scientist believes she doesn't belong there and isolates himself inside. Using a ladder, Amy climbs to the 2nd floor and threatens to die on the porch, hoping to turn into a zombie and bite him if she gets the chance. Everett decides to let her in and notices signs of poisoning. After learning which berries she ate, he prepares an antidote, which leaves her nauseous all night. The next morning, Everett tries to explain the purpose of his research. He sees the events around them as a natural process, and zombies as part of nature's evolution. He refuses to help Amy find her group, calling it a foolish idea. However, he doesn't stop her either, and their paths diverge. Alone with her fears, Amy spots object number 21 and begins tracking it, leaving marks on trees. At night, she returns to Everett's cabin to recount her zombie encounters, promising to find him in exchange for help. The scientist reluctantly agrees, warning her that this area is far too dangerous for survival. Later, Everett reveals that object number 21 was his former colleague and the original owner of the cabin. He died from a severe illness, became a zombie, and is now Everett's main subject of observation. Everett is determined to locate him and will do whatever it takes, but he refuses to join any survivor group. Noticing Amy's intelligence and love for nature, he offers her the chance to become his protege. She declines, believing it's better to die than to witness human suffering or live as a heartless recluse. The next morning, Amy and Everett come across a group of survivors, but they're immediately attacked by zombies. Instead of intervening, Everett urges Amy to let nature take its course, insisting they simply watch human deaths unfold. Amy takes the risk to help her friends, but it's too late, they fall victim to the undead. Meanwhile, object number 21 finds itself helpless, flipping onto its back and unable to rise. Drifting out onto a floating surface, it moves away from shore, and Everett risks his life to rescue the zombie. Just as he's about to pull it to safety, an alligator attacks and devours object number 21. Amy cuts the rope holding the creature and confronts Everett in a heated argument. Before she leaves, Everett warns her that this area is part of a zombie migration zone. No one can survive here. Amy sets out to find her group, but zombies attack her again. Everett doesn't intervene, observing from his drone. A few days later, he visits the same camp and discovers a horrifying truth. The people there, including Amy, have all turned into zombies. They wander the camp like mindless monsters. Hiding under a cloak made of zombie skin, Everett studies Amy and the others, deciding to make them his new subjects of observation. Devon wakes up in the woods on the outskirts of a small town in Maine and realizes he has temporary amnesia. He can't remember the events of the past few weeks, but a chained zombie named Amanda is with him. In self-defense, he strikes the zombie in the head with the spring prosthetic on his own leg, only to hear the voices of an angry crowd searching for a killer. When he meets a little girl holding a flashlight, Devon understands that the townspeople think he is the murderer, and he needs to hide. Hiding in a ravine with the zombie, he begins losing touch with reality and imagines Amanda speaking to him, accusing him of murder. Later, he sneaks into the town and finds the house where he lived before the amnesia. Here, memories begin to resurface. He remembers arriving in this town 7 years ago. When he encountered a hunter, he hesitated to shoot, making a fatal mistake. The hunter opened fire and wounded his leg. Devon might have died, but Amanda and her younger sister, Nora, found and saved him. Though he lost part of his leg, he survived, and he's deeply grateful to the kind women who saved him. Now, sneaking into a garage, Devon sees signs of a struggle and realizes he did, in fact, have to kill Amanda, though the reasons remain a mystery. As more memories of the past weeks return, he recalls the love and respect he received in the town. He had a close bond with Nora, who taught him to play the piano. Romantic feelings developed between them, though what happened afterward remains unclear. Hearing strange noises, Devon goes down into the basement, where he finds a zombie boy and ends his suffering. At that moment, local townspeople, who have been hunting for the alleged killer, attack him. Knocked unconscious by a blow to the head, Devon continues recalling his romantic moments with Nora. Later, the townspeople decide to hold a public trial. They demand that Devon confess what he did to the children and why he kidnapped them. But he can't hear anything. Nora is alive, but her son, Garen, has gone missing, so she despises Devon, believing him to be a maniac and a murderer. Arno, the son of the late Amanda, insists that Devon killed his mother and deserves the harshest punishment. Devon tries to defend himself, but the enraged crowd refuses to listen and sentences him to death. They lock him in a van, planning to crush it with an excavator bucket so that zombies can consume his remains. On the brink of death, Devon remembers that Garen, the boy, is alive and escaped from the basement. Hearing this, Nora pleads for the execution to be stopped and for Devon to have a chance to speak. Though most oppose her, other grieving parents stage a fight to save him. Taking advantage of the chaos, Devon escapes from the van and flees. A short time later, he tracks down Arno and sees the teenager heading toward a small house by the river. Inside, Arno is holding Garen, Nora's son and Devon's cousin, captive. It turns out that Arno has been kidnapping and killing children in the town, believing he is saving them from the horrors of the modern world. Amanda not only knew about this, but covered up her son's crimes to prevent the angry townspeople from executing him. Devon remembers all of this, and also recalls that he did kill Amanda, but it happened accidentally, in self-defense. Devon tries to stop Arno, but the teenager attacks him with a knife. Using a metal pipe to defend himself, Devon exposes Arno's crimes, uncovering a grave filled with children who had been turned into zombies. He calls the crowd to show the evidence and let Garen speak. The boy confirms that his cousin had held him captive, proving Devon's innocence. Arno begs for mercy, but Nora and the other parents start beating him. They then throw him into the pit with the zombies, turning him into prey for his own victims. Witnessing the cruelty and inhumanity of the townspeople, including Nora, the one he loved, Devon feels a deep sense of disgust and decides to leave the town for good. Adalia and Eric, a young couple of survivors, find themselves in a desperate situation. Their group has turned into zombies, attacking each other. While trying to escape, Eric kills almost all the monsters, and the couple goes on the run. Hoping to find temporary shelter, Adalia remembers the house of a witch living nearby and suggests they seek her help. That night, they reach the house and manage to sneak onto the property. Once inside, they're unnerved by the oppressive atmosphere, but they're even more startled when Danya Alma appears. She's not pleased with uninvited guests, but shows compassion and allows Eric and Adalia to stay. Before dinner, Alma warns them she'll feed them and let them spend the night, but they must leave in the morning. Eric objects, arguing the house is big enough and has enough supplies for 3 people, which sparks a heated argument. At one point, he lunges at the old woman, frightening her. Alma suffers a sudden medical episode, hits her head on the table, and dies instantly. Later, Adalia goes to the bathroom to wash Alma's blood from her neck, and suddenly sees the old woman's hands trying to strangle her. It's just a terrifying hallucination, but Adalia is shaken, realizing that the homeowner was truly a witch. Eric, thrilled that the house is now theirs, suggests they stay forever. Adalia feels uneasy about taking over the home of a deceased woman, but Eric insists they aren't responsible for her death and can live there so that such a beautiful house doesn't go to waste. A little later, Adalia decides to pray for everyone who died on their way to the house, but then she hears Alma's voice, reminding her that this is her home and her land, and outsiders don't belong here. Soon, Eric begins hearing a strange voice too, but it turns out to be a parrot in a nearby cage. The bird quickly becomes Eric's companion, making the house feel more homely and cozy. That night, Adalia can't sleep. When she turns around, she sees the ghost of the old woman standing over the bed. Terrified, she starts praying and decides to explore the house. That's when she notices a wall bleeding. Going down to the basement, she sees trees, and from them, Maria, one of the women from the survivor camp who died and turned into a zombie just before their escape, attacks her. Adalia realizes that all of this is just hallucinations, but they're becoming more persistent and terrifying. Eric pretends to support her during these moments, but he grows angry when she reminds him of how many people he's killed just to stay alive. It seems he's lost his humanity and capacity for empathy, yet Adalia struggles to see the loving man she once knew, no matter how difficult it is. The next morning, she finds a necklace with a cross and begins to pray, when another hallucination strikes. Several tiny silver Jesuses descend from their crosses, seemingly to punish Adalia for Alma's death. Later, Adalia steps into the yard to get some fresh air, but the hallucinations intensify. At one point, she is surrounded by thick fog and begins fighting the air with a knife, only to see Alma's ghost again. Soon, the parrot turns from friendly companion to unnervingly aggressive. The couple tries to ignore it, but Adalia sees hallucinations everywhere, as if the house itself is trying to kill her. That night, Eric starts hearing strange noises too. He wanders into a hallway and finds photographs, not just any photos, but snapshots from his own life, captured during moments when he killed people and turned them into zombies. Terrified by these visions, Eric kills the parrot and realizes they can no longer stay in the house. The next morning, he buries the bird and hears Maria calling him. He sees her alive, begging him to open the gates, but he refuses. Just as he starts to change his mind, Adalia strikes Maria with a pickaxe, trying to make Eric understand that this wasn't their friend but a zombie. Determined to fight, Adalia confronts Alma's spirit, declaring that they are the true owners of the house. Armed with a knife, she descends into the basement and attacks the zombies tangled in branches, killing them. For a moment, it seems the horror is over, but then the house erupts into chaos. Furniture moves on its own, the floor trembles, and Adalia grabs a gun, only to watch it transform into a crystal cross moments later. Looking out the window, Eric and Adalia see Alma rising from the dead, moving toward them. Escape is impossible. She's not just a zombie, but a witch. Reminding them that this house will belong to her forever, Alma drives the couple into the basement. Overcome by hallucinations, Eric and Adalia end up attacking each other with knives, before becoming part of a group of the undead alongside all the people they've ever encountered. What truly makes us human when civilization falls and morality loses its power? Share your thoughts in the comments down below, give this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next one.